Good afternoon, Belleville East Lancers. Today we have another special guest for our 5-Question Friday. It's a special edition for our Thanksgiving break, and I am super happy to have this guest with us this week. It's one of those things that occurred to me. I said, this guy's pretty darn successful, and I've known him for a long, long time, so it worked out pretty good. So this week's guest is Sergeant Calvin Dye Jr., better known to me as Buddy Dye, from the Illinois State Police. Buddy Dye, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Like I said, I've known Buddy, and we were talking about this earlier. I've known Buddy, I think, since 1985. So for you Lancers that are listening to this, you're like, man, Mr. Padgett's older than I thought he was. But I remember Buddy when he first started playing basketball. He was friends with my brother-in-law now. Of course, at the time, I didn't know he was going to be my brother-in-law, Mike Todd, and they played basketball. And we were over in St. Louis at the Gus Macker 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And I just happened to be there watching these guys and coaching them a little bit. I think I might have been like a freshman or sophomore in high school, and these guys were playing. So, and I went to grade school with Buddy's sister Rayonda, who I'm still friends with today too. So it's kind of cool to have him on. When I think of people in success, sometimes I forget about my own friends, but certainly Buddy falls into that category. So Buddy, why don't you give us a little bit? I got Officer Dye. Sorry. By the way, you'll notice I have my Christmas. I'm ready for Christmas. I got my new coat on here. So Lancers, remember, we do this every week to show you like the possibilities of what you could do in the future. So we've showed you all kinds of different occupations. This is another one. Obviously, you can tell from Buddy's get up, his outfit, that he is a member of the Illinois State Police. But Buddy, you didn't start out as a sergeant in the state police. So what happened to you after you were at Belleville East? What was your path?
So after Belleville East, I went to college. When I enrolled in college, I didn't know what I wanted to be once I graduated. So I knocked out the general studies. Then about my second or third year of college, I knew I was 100% sold that I wanted to be a police officer, mainly a Illinois State Trooper. So my last semester of college, I actually interned with the Illinois State Police, and one of the officers there actually gave me some very great advice during my internship. He pulled me to the side and said, don't limit yourself to just the Illinois State Police. He told me that he was a Madison County deputy first, and that's the equivalent to the St. Clair County sheriff cars you guys see. That's the Madison County. They're just in another county. Said he worked there first for 3 years before he got hired with the state police. So from that point, I started putting in with law enforcement agencies all over the area: Belleville, Fairview, Swansea. I actually put in for the DEA, the FBI, and the state police actually called. Nobody was calling at first, and I was working midnights on the Casino Queen, hoping somebody called. Then the state police called first, and I actually thought it was a prank, because I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was May of 2003, and I was coming from the barbershop in Fairview Heights by Farm Fresh off 159, and the phone rang. And for you high schoolers back then, it was totally legal to talk on the cell phone and drive. So I looked down and answered the cell phone, and it was an older gentleman, introduced himself, and asked, was I still interested in Illinois State Police? And I paused. I almost thought it was a friend playing a prank that knew I was trying to get hired. And I was going to say something very sarcastic, and God must have been looking down on me that day. Something told me not to say anything sarcastic, and I just responded with, yes, sir. And he informed me that he was going to start my background check. So from there, I got past the background and all of the, you have to see a psychologist, and you go before an oral board, and then I got certified to be in the next academy class. And while I was in there, you kids will see as you start getting out into the workforce, I had a job, but when it's not the job that you want, nobody's really calling you. But then when you do get the job that you want, then other places start calling. And I mean, it went on for like the the first 6 weeks in there, I was always getting pulled out of class because I know St. Louis City, St. Louis County, actually, believe it or not, the DEA, I think that was it. They were calling down there. They knew I was in the academy. They were offering me a job, and I have to step out and talk to them, and I declined. And we actually had one male and one female in my academy class that both got hired by the FBI while they were in there, and they actually did leave and go on federally. So pretty much that's in a nutshell after I left Belleville East, my career path.
All right. And you went to college at McKendree University, right?
That's where I graduated from. Mm-hmm.
Proud alumni. Proud alumni.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you tell a high school kid right now because I'm sure most of my students are watching this going, man, there's no way that I want to be, a police officer. Absolutely. There's no chance. If they change their mind, or somebody that is watching this thinks that's a great idea, what kind of advice would you give to a high school kid that might be interested in doing something like that?
You know what? Just like all other employers that are recruiting early, we're recruiting early as well. Other jobs are starting out with high school kids. Surprisingly, everyone thought that our numbers would drop with COVID and with all the civil unrest, but believe it or not, they're through the roof. We've actually since April, from April through September, we've pushed 900 men and women through the physical and written tests. I mean, they're knocking our doors down, but one of the main reasons is our pay. Our pay is through the roof. We're the third highest paid law enforcement agency in the country. And also the Illinois state, we actually have troopers that come from different states. So they go through a 26-week academy in Wisconsin or Missouri or Iowa. And you don't do a lateral. So if they want to join the state police, they have to start all over, go through just like I did. They have to go through all the steps of the hiring process. They have to go through another 6-month academy. We get people that leave just because our pay is so much better than some of the neighboring states, and the benefits are better as well. So I would definitely urge someone that's kind of on the fence or thinking about it. And also, with the events that you've seen, in the last 6 months to a year or the last several years on the news, honestly, all police officers, out of all the police officers, not just the state police in the United States of America, it's probably less than 5% that actually ever have to use their weapon. Just obviously when an officer does have to use his or her weapon, that's huge news. So it's going to always be on the news. So, I've been with the state police 17 years. I worked the street for 9. I've worked a lot of high crime areas in the Metro East. I've stopped a lot of people that were just out of prison or on parole, or even had the ankle bracelet on. And to be honest, any police officer tell you this, even the criminals that have been to jail for violent offenses, over 90% of the people are very compliant. They're very compliant. I mean, I've had to chase a few people. I've never, ever had a physical altercation that I can remember.
Wow, that's amazing. And you just mentioned something that made me think, so, people look at you and you're obviously a man, but this is also an opportunity for the girls too, going forward, right? There's some opportunities in the state police.
Absolutely. We have a cadet, and that's what you're called in the academy, that I've been down at the academy helping. We have a class in right now with 45. I mean, everybody wears the N95s, of course, and keeps the social distances. And she looked really young, and she was in line. They were about to, they were single file line to enter cafeteria for lunch. And I just happened to ask, every now and then you ask, where are you from and what made you want to get in law enforcement? And she said she was 20 years old. Now with us, as long as you turn 21 while in the academy, you can apply and get hired. And she said that's what she always wanted to do. And she's 20 years old, and from what I witnessed, a few weeks I was at the academy and talking to some of the other instructors, she's one of the best out of the 45 in there. And she just fresh out of Western University, just graduated. So yes, we're letting it be known that we're actively seeking females. We need more females hired. Great career. And the good thing about the state police, it has so many different facets. We have people that make a whole career just off working at the academy. So maybe they teach shooting, Maybe they teach driving. Maybe they do curriculum. We have a governmental affairs office. We have a intelligence office. I had a guy today that I used to work patrol with. He does intel, and he was calling me about some intelligence that he knew that I was aware of. And I mean, it's just it's to the point when you run into another state cop that you haven't saw in a while, you ask, after you say, how are you doing? You ask, what are you doing now? Because it's not that they don't like the work unit they're already in. It's just so many different opportunities within the agency. And that's why you get a lot of locals that leave, and nothing against locals, because probably 30% of our department was local police first, but they leave because a lot of local departments, being a detective is temporarily, 1 or 2 years, then you go back to the street. With us, you can jump on the meth team, homicide unit, general criminal, all of that is permanent. SWAT, and then we actually have half a dozen pilots in the state. It's just the work units. It's easily over 12 to 15 different. Where I probably don't even have all the work units memorized. It's so many.
Wow, that's incredible. So you mentioned the academy a few times, and I know from knowing you that when you get a promotion and you're a sergeant now, to get those promotions, that's not because you're friends with somebody, right? Like you have to earn an academic level there and achieve on a test, right? So what's it been like for you studying for all these tests and getting through the academy yourself back in the day?
Well, the academy, the one I went through, all the exams were must pass. So on top of getting up at 5:30 a.m., it's paramilitary, getting screamed at and marching around the building. And
So it's kind of like playing basketball for Coach McCrary.
it wasn't that bad. No, I'm joking. Yes, it's
Me too.
Yeah. Then you have to do the drill and the inspection, and so you're under a tremendous amount of stress. But you're getting paid while you're in there. You're getting 3 free solid meals a day, and they want to put you under a tremendous amount of stress because they don't want to see anybody quit. But if you do quit, because in there they can't put their hands on you, they can't use profanity. So and you're getting paid. So they rather it's kind of like the weed out the week. They rather you quit in there if you're going to quit than get hurt out on the street. So you're up under all the stress of the military structure. Your bunk gets inspected daily, your uniform daily. Then every few weeks you have these must pass exams, which are, you're studying 15, 20 hours. Then, as you stated, once you get out on the street, we don't have as many ranks as the military. So to get from trooper to sergeant, you're probably competing against at least 30 or 40 people. So, and in a nutshell, the way the promotional process works is you get evaluated every year. Once a year, there's 9 categories, and all the supervisors meet, and you're not in there, and they have to agree on what you get. And then every other year, so the evaluation is once a year, and once every 2 years, they give you a exam, and that exam is probably not probably, is the most studying I've ever had to do in my life. And obviously, rightfully so, because if you're out there in a supervisory role, they want to make sure the policy, the laws, the contract, the union rights, the people you're supervising. And the test is very difficult. They basically take those 2, your eval and your test score, and combine those 2, and then they rank everybody, and you have to be in the top percentage for them to even promote you. So they could like Calvin Buddy Die as all they want. They could really want me promoted, but if I didn't do what I was supposed to do by getting that evaluation and mainly doing my part on that test, there's nothing anybody can do for me to help me get promoted.
So it's a little personal responsibility for you.
It's a lot of personal responsibility. Yes. You have to do well on that test. And that's with every rank. I made sergeant February of this year. So master sergeant the same way. They're going to take. But the good thing is you're not competing against as many people with each rank. Just like any job, the higher you go up, it's not as many people that you're competing with, but it's still that test that you start studying. The test is every other September, and you start studying heavily in March. And from being a personal friend of mine how hard I was studying for those tests.
It's amazing. It blows my mind how hard you work at that. It's incredible. So this kind of been a theme that's developed on these 5-question Fridays, is how much the hard work pays off. People that achieve success don't just wake up one day and all of a sudden they're successful. It's not like winning the lottery. I mean, like, people put their hard work in, and obviously your case is definitely not any different than anybody else's, man. If you're going to get somewhere, you're going to have to work at it. So,
that's true.
Okay. You ready for 5 questions on Friday?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. What's your favorite memory of being a Belleville East Lancer?
Favorite memory of being a Belleville East Lancer is my junior year when the basketball team went to the state tournament.
I remember
that was great times. I still honestly, I know we all do that played high school sports, have dreams that I was at that state game hitting all these points. Then I wake up and realize, I only had 2 points in the state game. It's still the 10-foot jump shot from the wing.
Did you think in the super sectional at Carbondale that when you're at the end of the first quarter, did you think, we're going to go to the state tournament?
Yeah, I kind of actually did. Actually, that year Collinsville had a really good team, and they had blew us out at Collinsville by 30. I mean, and nobody saw that coming. Even us, we kind of thought it was a fluke, and then they beat us again at East by 15. And I literally remember like it was yesterday. We kind of knew, we're thinking deep down, my goodness, we got to run into them again at the sectional championship. That's going to be hard. Well, they got upset by Edwardsville, and back then, I know none of the high school kids know what a Walkman is, but I didn't go to the game, but I was sitting at home and I started tuning in late in the fourth quarter, and knowing Collinsville was going to win. And I can remember when Edwardsville won on a last-second shot, like jumping through I actually knew then. I said, we can go to state. The Collinsville's got knocked out. So, yep, that's my fondest memory at Belleville East.
Well, that was fun to watch, that's for sure. And I wasn't working at Belleville East yet, but I was at every one of those games. And, man, you guys had a heck of a team. Lots of really, really good players, like 1 through 10.
You're right.
A lot of talent, and definitely shared that talent. That's for sure. Okay. What has been your main component to your success as an adult?
Well, you already said it. Working hard. I mean, if you have something you're trying to accomplish, school in general didn't come easy to me. I never ever sat down like some whiz kid saying this is going to take 20, 30 minutes. What would take a whiz kid 20, 30 minutes would take me days. I mean, it just hard work. I mean, one thing I learned early on, there's no shortcut to success. I mean, you just have to do it, and you have to put the time in. And I always say it goes back to the like the same things I learned at Wolf Branch in elementary. It sounds commercial, but it's so true. Even in adulthood, working well with others, handling stress well, handling adversity well, sharing, helping others. I mean, those characteristics will take you a long way in life, along with working hard.
Those are certainly the roots of our upbringing at Wolf Branch. That's for sure. Okay. Question number 3. TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, or Facebook?
And I'm totally not a social media person, but I'm not on any of those. But if I had the choice, I think Snapchat.
Interesting answer. I knew that you weren't on any of them. I was wondering what you were going to answer.
Well, I heard guys at work say it goes away. So.
Oh yeah, but I don't. Not if it's criminal. Let's stick
That's
around.
true. That's true.
Okay. 4th question. Who is your celebrity crush?
Well, she's kind of gotten a little older now. I had a big crush on Kim Kardashian back in the day.
Nice. And now you're calling her old. You can't
a little bit.
All right. Fifth and final question. Outside of your family, who would you say has been the most influential person in your life?
Wow, that's a hard one because most of my influential people have been um, in my family. Outside of my family, I would just say my friends as a whole because I'm the type of person, and you know this, Keith, that before I make a crucial decision in life, where most people just go with their gut, or obviously they'll talk with their girlfriend or wife about it first. I'll ask a group of people to get different perspectives, and there's been times where I had a big decision to make, and I totally thought the decision I was going to make was 100% accurate and correct, and then I'll talk it over with some people, and they'll say, "No, that decision is so wrong." So I'll collectively take what all of my close friends tell me in their perspectives, um, and think it over in my head before I make the final decision on a when I have a crucial decision to make in life. So I'll say my immediate friends.
Yeah, and you and people, my students obviously don't know you, but you talk about being a friend. Buddy is the most loyal friend. I mean,
Well,
it's
thanks.
amazing. He's like that. He's just always there. And he mentioned a date earlier. He remembers more dates than anybody. When things happen, if you ever have a question, Buddy died knows the answer to sometimes the very day that it happened, if not the
Yeah.
month in the year. So, surrounding yourself with a good group of friends is definitely a good idea.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's your 5 questions. You've escaped, right? The 5 questions. What kind of advice would you give to our high school kids that are watching this?
Um, well, the good group of friends is crucial. Make sure you kids surround yourself around positive people. When I was your age, although it was 23 years ago when I graduated, but I remember like it was yesterday. I always say that little voice speaks to you. If you're in the car with a group of kids and it doesn't feel right, or your mom can't stand this friend or your dad can't stand this friend, and you need to listen to that little voice. I still listen to that little voice in adulthood. Make good decisions because those choices, you don't know how many people in my line of work I've ran into that was just in a car with somebody that had drug paraphernalia. I mean, I can go into next year with stories, and this person goes on to, and nobody claimed the drug paraphernalia. So the police officer charged everybody with the car, and they were underage. You don't know how many times during backgrounds for the state police, we'll have somebody on paper, that's got a master's degree, National Honor Society, sorority or fraternity. And then this comes up where they're on Greenmount Road, 6 years ago when they were a junior in high school, and they had this drug paraphernalia. That stuff does not go away. So I mean, none of us in this world are perfect, but you got to listen to that little voice, and you have to make good decisions, and always do the right thing when nobody's looking. You have no idea. I didn't know the state police. They went back and talked to people at Wolf Branch before I got hired, like people that I wasn't even that cool with. And, thankfully for me, they had great things to say about me. And again, I wasn't perfect, but you never know who's looking. You don't know who knows who. This area is small. So say you want to be an engineer and you graduate college, but some teacher from Belleville East, uncle owns the engineering company you're applying with. That's how life works. And then they make a call, say, "Hey, this buddy died, went to East. Oh, he was obnoxious, a bully," and then right there, you're done. They're moving on to the next applicant. So just keep all of that in mind.
Man, that's a good point. That for sure happens because I've been on the receiving end of many of those phone calls, and
Me too.
that kind of stuff definitely happens. And it's hard to understand that when you're in high school, but for sure
It is.
that happens. Okay, so we finish every week with the same thing, and I didn't coach you on this, Officer Dye. So I say stand up for what you believe in, and you say even if you're standing alone.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how we finish and end up the 5 question Friday. So Lancers, as we finish up, remember that someday you're going to be an adult. Like you're not always going to be in high school, and it could be 4 years from now, it could be 10 years from now, but you're going to make decisions on the path you're going to choose. just like Officer Dye did, and just like a lot of these 5 Question Friday people have done. You make that choice. There's all kinds of choices out there for you, but the things you do now, they will definitely matter. So prepare yourself for that day. So, all right, Officer Dye, we're going to finish with this. Stand up for what you believe in.
The baby was crying. I'm sorry.
Oh, the baby was crying.
Even if what? I heard even
Good
if.
thing this isn't a test for the promotion of the state police.
Even if what? Let's try it again.
Even if you're standing alone is what you're
Okay.
saying. Even if you're standing alone. So stand up for what you believe in.
Even if you're standing alone.
There you go. Thank you, Officer Dye.
And thanks for having me.